The HOA thought they could bully me with fines and threats. What they didn't expect was that an entire neighborhood would rise against them because of a single patch of grass. They taped a neon notice to my door while I brewed tea. Final warning, the letters screamed. Before we continue, please drop a like and comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Australia, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Don't just sit back, tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. The mowing crew idled outside, blades humming like hornets. I tightened my robe and felt spite rise. I stepped onto the porch at 19 Clear Lark Circle, Renford, Michigan. 80 years old, jaw like a cinder block. Neighbors gathered, waiting for a show. Garen Krieger, HOA president, pointed hard. Cut it, Wit. Grass brushed my knees like a friendly dog. Clover dotted the green with white stars. A monarch lifted off, orange as a small flame. No, I said. I'm letting it grow wild. A collective gasp rolled down Mariner Ridge Drive. Someone snickered. Someone filmed. Krieger's grin sharpened. Then we'll fine you until you cry, he said. My hands shook, but my feet planted like fence posts. The mower lurched forward, daring me. I stood anyway, bones and stubbornness. You'll need to push me first, I told the operator. The crew glanced at Krieger. He flicked his wrist, bored, mean, hungry for obedience. A police cruiser drifted up, lights off. Young officer, polite hat, cautious eyes. He read the notice, then my face. Sir, can we talk? He asked. My stomach turned to ice in a rusty pail. Neighbors whispered, already counting the dollars I didn't have. Across the street, my sister Eulalie watched me over sunglasses, thumbs texting like pecking birds. She has always loved rules more than people, especially me. I gripped the porch post, knuckles like knots. The officer said, they're asking compliance. I answered, this is my land, my memories. The mower revved again. Krieger lifted his phone, recording his victory lap early. A breeze stitched through seed heads. I remembered my wife, skimming tall grass at County Park, whispering, leave things better. The officer saw my shaking knees. He touched his radio and sighed, looking suddenly older. He glanced at Krieger, then at me. Sir, step aside. I didn't move. The crew eased closer, blades whining. Metal kissed grass. A child yelled. Another car stopped at the curb, door opening fast. 1 month earlier, the lawn was just shaggy, not yet gospel. A wet spring had rushed everything taller. I told myself I'd mow after church, after groceries, after the ache in my hip loosened. That week, the first letter arrived, property standards reminder. I laughed and tucked it under the sugar bowl. The second letter came with highlighted lines. The third arrived by certified mail, clanging like a cowbell. Eulalie phoned from Camber Row, voice sweet as a knife. Wit, you're slipping, she said. This neighborhood has standards. She never forgave me for inheriting the house instead of her. Lottie chose me, that haunted her. We were children of 2 addresses and 1 argument. Our father worked swing shifts, our mother kept scraps of everything. Eulalie learned early that rules were a ladder. I learned resistance could feel like home. Money started pinching last winter. My pension covered soup, pills, taxes, barely. Latte's hospital bills still whispered at night. Fines would crush me. But cutting the grass felt like erasing her handprint from my doorframe. I tried mowing once. The machine bucked and stalled. My hips screamed and sparkled. I sat on the curb and cried behind my forearms. A neighbor drove by and didn't see me at all. I called the HOA office. A woman named Lenka read a script about uniformity, property values, and community harmony. I asked where harmony lived. She didn't laugh. You have 10 days, she said, clock ticking. That evening, my granddaughter Juniper visited after her warehouse shift, arm in a brace. The line doesn't stop, Grandpa, she said. When you slow down, they replace you. We watched goldfinches surf the grass like tiny sailors. Juniper squeezed my shoulder. Let it be, she whispered. The next morning, a 4th notice arrived, this one fluorescent and sticky. On the bottom, someone scrawled, "Cut or else." Else tasted like tin. The landlord in me woke up. Years ago, Latte and I converted the detached garage into a tiny studio. We rented to teachers and nurses, folks who paid on time. It kept soup hot. Our current tenant, Paloma Ricks, taught second grade at Elmore Stern Elementary. She cleaned classrooms on weekends because budgets shrank. She paid rent with carefully folded 20s and always left muffins on our railing. I asked Paloma what she thought of my yard. She looked at the swaying stems. "It reminds me of summers in New Mexico," she said. "Butterflies nesting in weeds." Not weeds, really. Medicine if you know names. Names matter. I started learning them: little bluestem, bee balm, coneflower, milkweed. I watched bees arrive like old friends. I saw birds come, then linger. The yard changed me in the slow language of green. The HOA sent photographs, circled in red. Non-compliant growth. Obstruction. Wild appearance. Each word felt like a fist. Krieger's signature bled blue at the bottom. I imagined his pen stabbing paper, thrilled by his own ink. Juniper lost more hours after injuring her wrist. Her supervisor said smiling hurt no one, then cut her shift anyway. We sat at my table eating ramen. I offered her the studio. She refused, proud. That night, I ordered native seed mixes with my grocery budget. Pollinator Meadow, the packet said. I thought about Lottie's voice. Leave things better. I slept by the window, listening to crickets rehearse their hopeful song. Dawn broke, pearly and soft. I scattered seed like prayers, then trimmed edges along the sidewalk so strollers could pass. Paloma helped, placing small wooden signs: milkweed, aster, black-eyed Susan. Order inside wildness, visible and kind. At noon, a postcard arrived announcing a neighborhood beautification blitz. The crew's schedule ended with my address. Showcase mowing, the card bragged. I stared at the words, felt something click inside my chest like a latch. The beautification blitz day came with a blue sky that looked expensive. Krieger strutted the cul-de-sac wearing mirrored sunglasses and a lemon shirt. He shook hands like a candidate, promising property values would soar today. The crew unloaded trailers, ran trimmers like helicopters. My yard swayed, gentle and alive. I stood between blades and stems. "Please move," a worker pleaded. His name tag read Tuck. Sweat shined on his temple. Krieger extended a clipboard. "Sign acknowledgement of noncompliance and cost of mow," he said. I read the numbers. The fee could have been a month of groceries, maybe 2. "No," I said. "This is a native garden." He laughed loud enough for the cul-de-sac. "That's a cute word for neglect," he said. "This isn't a farm, Mr. Malloy." He turned to the crowd. "We all play by the same rules here." Eulalie crossed the street in sandals that clicked like castanets. "Whit, stop embarrassing yourself," she said. "Sell to Caldwell Realty and move to Orchard View Assisted. I'll help." Her sunglasses flashed tiny reflections of me, small. "Lottie and I built this place," I said. "We planted every maple by hand." Eulalie's mouth flattened. "You can't even mow," she whispered. "You need help whether you admit it or not." The words stung. A certified letter arrived in Krieger's hand like a magic trick. "Lien proceedings begin Friday," he announced. People oohed. My stomach sank through my shoes. Paloma stepped closer, eyes bright. "You can't lien a meadow's heart," she muttered. I asked to see the bylaws. Krieger shrugged, said they were proprietary. Paloma snapped a photo anyway. Juniper filmed from the curb, jaw clenched. Tuck, the worker, turned off his mower and looked ashamed of his paycheck. Then the wind shifted, carrying the sweet scent of clover to a row of baby strollers. A monarch drifted through the crowd, careless and royal. Mothers pointed. Babies reached. Krieger's jaw tightened. "Proceed," he barked, voice cracking. After they left, without cutting, because I blocked them, the fines began like rain. Each envelope held new numbers. I stacked them beside Lottie's cookbooks, tried not to stare. Fear lived in my chest like static. I needed knowledge. I visited the county extension office, walls covered with posters of goldenrod and soil. A woman named Dr. Winhope listened to my story, then slid over a pamphlet, Managed Natural Landscapes. She explained the state's pollinator resolution and local ordinances allowing native gardens with maintained borders, paths, and signs. Document everything, she said. Edges neat, sightlines clear. Invite neighbors. Make it education, not defiance. I nodded, hungry for instructions. Back home, Paloma and I carved a narrow path through the tall growth, then mulched the edges. We posted signs every 10 feet. Kids wandered in like explorers. I added a bench with Latte's initials. Juniper brought Ziploc bags of sunflower seeds from a coworker who worried about bees. She told me about her manager, who measured bathroom breaks. He calls it efficiency, she said. We call it begging permission to breathe. I printed the HOA bylaws from a quiet corner of the library. Buried in the thicket, alternative plantings permitted if maintained and registered. My hands trembled. I highlighted until my pen went dry. A path through rules. That night, Paloma's principal emailed her at midnight about bulletin boards. She cried quietly on the studio steps, then apologized. We drank peppermint tea. They want everything trimmed, even children, she said. We watched moths find the porch light. Morning brought a letter taped to my door. Unapproved installations, signs. I laughed, a harsh sound. Then I wrote a registration request with pictures, measurements, and a copy of the ordinance. I delivered it by hand to Krieger. He read it, expression blank, then tossed it on his desk like lint. We'll review, he said. Don't hold your breath. I left his office with my shoulders squared, carrying the ordinary magic of paper. The HOA meeting smelled like coffee breath and printer toner. Folding chairs, a flag, a plastic ficus. I wore Latte's cardigan, pockets warm from her long-ago hands. Eulalie sat front row, lips thin, eyes glinting. Krieger called my name like a courtroom summons. I stood slowly, hip complaining. This is a managed natural area, I said, and held up photos of borders, signs, a path. Murmurs rose. Someone whispered, beautiful. I read the line from the bylaws, voice steady. Alternative plantings permitted if maintained and registered. I placed Dr. Hope's letter on the table. A teenager live-streamed. I could see myself, small and fierce. A board member named Adora cleared her throat. We lack a registration form, she said. I held up the one I drafted. Laughter scattered around the room. Krieger's smile flickered. Control slipped through his fingers like marbles. I added a doctor's note about arthritis, dated, heavy with signatures. I can't mow safely, I said. But I can care deeply. My chest ached. I missed Lotte like air. Someone in back said, Krieger adjusted his lemon shirt. We'll need an inspection, he announced. Thursday morning. My heart thudded like a loose fence gate. Bring anyone you like, I said. Bring everyone. The room buzzed. Eulalie scrolled her phone furiously. As I sat, Adora leaned forward. Mr. Malloy, would you consider a workshop? Teaching neighbors about native plants? Krieger cut in quickly. Out of order, he snapped. Still, I saw faces soften, edges sand down. On my way out, Tuck from the crew caught my arm. I'll make sure the mower stays off, he whispered. My mama keeps a meadow for monarchs. He winked and vanished like a friendly ghost. Outside, under the parking lot lights, Eulalie blocked my path. If you fall and break a hip out there, I'll petition for guardianship, she said. I'll sell this place, Wit. I didn't answer, but I shook. Inspection day dawned clear as glass. I labeled everything with painter's tape. Paloma brewed coffee for whoever showed up. Kids from the block drew butterflies in chalk along the sidewalk, arrows pointing, this way, please. 2 board members arrived with clipboards. Adora smiled, Krieger didn't. Dr. Hope from the county came too, which surprised him. Educational site visit, she said, eyes kind. Juniper held the camera steady, quiet and fierce. We walked the path. Bees bobbed like commas, stitching sentences between flowers. A monarch landed on my thumb, light as forgiveness. I nearly cried. Krieger pretended not to notice miracles, scribbling unkempt beside violets. A black SUV stopped. A realtor stepped out in sharp shoes and a sharp voice. "I'm Dorrit Caldwell," she announced to anyone listening. "I have buyers for this parcel." Eulalie appeared like a summoned thought, nodding eagerly. Dorrit wrinkled her nose at the milkweed. "This screams liability," she said. "Trip hazards. Rodents. Chaos." Paloma laughed once, sharp. "Chaos is kindergarten classrooms with 30 kids," she said. "This is order the wind understands." I pulled from my folder an old HOA letter, signed by Krieger 6 summers ago, approving a neighbor's wildflower border. Their family donated to the pool fund. Selective enforcement? I asked gently. Adora took the copy, eyebrows lifting. Krieger flushed. "That border was tasteful," he said. "This is excessive." Dr. Hope tapped the ordinance. "The law says managed and registered," she repeated. "He has both." A distant mower whined. Tuck waved and drove past. Eulalie stepped closer, voice low. "You're making everything harder," she said. "For me, for buyers, for everyone." Her sunglasses reflected me again, smaller than before. "I'll make the petition," she whispered. "You can't stop me." Before I answered, a white envelope slid under my door from a runner. "Final fine notice," red stamped. "Lien imminent." The board members froze. Adora's jaw tightened. "Garin," she said quietly, "this is getting ugly." The fines emptied my envelope of courage for a minute. Then courage refilled, stubborn and warm. I called the local paper. 80-year-old fights HOA to keep pollinator garden. The reporter repeated, pleased. "We'll send someone." Juniper suggested flyers. "Make it friendly," she said. "Not war. Invite people." We wrote, "Walk Mr. Malloy's meadow, Saturday." Paloma drew a monarch with a pencil that needed sharpening every 10 seconds. Kids taped flyers everywhere. Neighbors came, some curious, some cautious. I told them names: aster, coneflower, bluestem. I showed the neat edges, the path. "I can't mow," I said. "But I can tend." A woman cried softly, thinking of her own mother. The TV van parked like a spaceship. A reporter asked for the story. I told them about leaving things better. I described the bully feel of fines. Krieger watched from the corner, jaw clicking. The station aired the segment that night. My phone exploded with messages from cousins in Wisconsin and a boy I coached in summer ball, now gray at the temples. Donations trickled in. One envelope held 10 Monarch stickers. Paloma's principal saw the story and told her to stop political activity. She nearly quit. I told her about the time a foreman called me old man at 53 and how I outlasted him by thousands of pipes. The next morning, an environmental lawyer named Akin Rowan called. "Pro bono," he said. "State law protects native gardens. And selective enforcement is our friend." His voice sounded like a porch swing. I finally exhaled. Akin sent a letter to the board, listing statutes like steady hammer blows. He CC'd the city and the paper. 10 minutes later, Krieger's lemon shirt appeared on my sidewalk. He knocked, then pretended he hadn't. "I'm sure we can resolve this," he murmured, suddenly smooth. Behind him, kids chalked butterflies over the words, "Cut this." A monarch landed on the N. Krieger flinched like a superstitious man watching a sign. The special meeting drew a bigger crowd than the 4th of July potluck. Cameras, clipboards, folding fans. Adora opened with a proposal: suspend fines until legal review finishes. Krieger objected. His voice sounded tired, like overused brakes. Akin stood, calm. He read state protections, then displayed 2 approval letters. Mine denied, the neighbors approved, both signed by Krieger. "Selective enforcement," he said. People murmured. Eulalie shifted in her chair, suddenly fascinated by the carpet. A mother spoke about bees and her child's allergies improving since the meadow. Tuck testified that he'd been told to mow around certain board members' plastic deer while citing others for mismatched planters. The room smelled like honesty finally. Then a teenager played the video from inspection day. The monarch on my thumb. Krieger staring at his shoes. Paloma calling chaos by its true name. Even the ficus seemed to lean closer, needing the drama. Adora called for a vote to pause fines, withdraw the lien, and create a managed natural landscapes pilot. Hands lifted like a flock. Krieger counted slowly, face color shifting. Motion passes, Adora said. A cheer broke. Krieger tried to resign in a huff. Nobody asked him to stay. Dorit Caldwell slipped out quietly, heels whispering disappointment. Eulalie walked past me, eyes shiny. I didn't want it like this, she said. I just get scared. I nodded. Me too, I said. Every morning. She took off her sunglasses and looked 10 years younger. Maybe I could bring lemonade to your workshop, she whispered. I said, bring cups. People are thirsty. The lawyer shook my hand. We're not done, he warned. Policy next. But I felt lighter than a seed on wind. Juniper grinned, wrist brace decorated with stickers. Grandpa, she said, you made the news cooler than movies. That night I sat on the porch and listened. Crickets stitched a steady seam. Somewhere a mower started, then stopped. The air smelled like clover and relief. Then my phone buzzed. Emergency board meeting tomorrow, mandatory. I wore my best flannel to the emergency meeting. They held it outdoors, under the pool lights, which flickered like hesitant stars. Adora chaired. New business, she said. Landscape committee leadership. She looked at me and smiled. Krieger sat 2 rows back, lemon shirt muted by shadows. He kept checking his phone, but no rescues came. Akin stood near the gate, quiet guard. Eulalie passed lemonade. Juniper collected names for workshops, wrist steady now. Adora read a motion. Appoint me, Whit Malloy, as chair of a new committee to pilot native gardens at 3 cul-de-sacs, with signage and paths. Paloma whispered, revenge, but gentle. I felt Latte's cardigan warm my shoulders. I spoke simply. We will keep edges neat and sightlines open. We'll teach names, plant milkweed, and mow paths you can push strollers on. We'll make room for butterflies and people at once. Hands rose fast. Motion passed. Krieger stood to object, then sat, words spilling out like nails that couldn't hold. He sighed, maybe remembering something he loved once and trimmed away. I felt pity, surprising and clean. After the meeting, neighbors brought seed packets, jars, stories. Akin patted my shoulder. Lien withdrawn tomorrow, he said. Keep receipts. Keep teaching. Eulalie hugged me hard. I wanted you safe, she whispered. This seems safer than cages. We named the meadow Latte's Walk and posted a small sign. Kids ran the path like a ribbon. Monarchs traced lazy halos above their hair. Paloma laughed, eyes tired but hopeful. Juniper looked hired somewhere calmer. At dusk, I locked the toolbox and watched the grass breathe. It waved like an old choir, singing names I'd learned. I thought of orchards, factories, apartments, places people keep edges sharp to survive. The HO demanded I cut my grass, so I let it grow wild. Today, they call me to teach. I am 80, and I am not done. Tomorrow, we plant more milkweed along the mailboxes.